For this video, we are going to walk you through how to solo roleplay using our Magic the Gathering solo RPG rules. Hello gamers, Matthew here from Grey Army Gaming. Now there's been a lot of interest from our viewers about how to begin a solo role-playing game or campaign, and in particular interest in how to do that using the Magic the Gathering solo rules that we have come up with. So what I'd like to do for this video is to walk us through that process a little bit slowly to show you some of the aspects of it in order to get you started in your own solo role-playing. In previous videos, I have gone through and opened up Magic cards, thousands of Magic cards that you can get for very, very cheap prices. So there's plenty of Magic cards out there to help you out for this game. I've also gone ahead and made this PDF of the rules summary for how to play a solo RPG with Magic the Gathering, and there will be a link to the PDF in the description below. You can go and download that for free. So let's go ahead and walk through this very slowly. What I've got before you here on the left side is the cards I will be using. And all the cards on the left, this will be our random cards that'll give us our random prompts. Over here off to the side, I have my lands. Now, as I mentioned before, you don't necessarily need to have lands, but lands can be an easy way for you to get a setting card if you need it. But you can also get settings from the normal cards as well. So you don't necessarily need to have land cards. All you need is a bunch of cards, commons, uncommons, it doesn't matter, with decent pictures and decent prompts. So let's begin by actually picking out a character. There's different ways you can do this. One way is you can create a random character like a D&D style character, but I'm going to actually try to use some Magic the Gathering cards to actually get my character started. So let's just pick out a bunch of these and lay them out. And all right, my first card already is something of this female human, and she seems to be carrying some kind of bird. So we will say that I am a female, let's say a rogue actually, and a background in something like animal handling. So that'll be my character to begin with. Let's go ahead and give this character a name. The way we do that is we use the letters, the words up on the top of the cards, and we combine syllables together to try and get something interesting. So let's go ahead and put these together. We have T-O Tumad, Tom Tude, T-O-D-E-F, Tudef, Todef. I like that. T-O-D-E-F. Todef. Todef, the human rogue who has skills in animal handling. So Todef will be our character. Let's go ahead now and also pick out if we want to have a beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, or legendary. And let's use the mana costs for this. Based on what mana costs we get on our next card, that is what we will use here. All right, so Gone Missing, legendary. So we have got 5 mana here, so we're going to use a legendary character. That gives us +5 bonus, 50 hit points, and 5 cards of gold pieces. So let's go ahead and get our gold pieces out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see I'm taking cards and then I'm just discarding them when I'm done using them. So here's 3 plus 6, 9, another 3, 12, 14, and a total of 16 gold pieces to begin. So once we are done with that, we have our character name, we have our gold pieces. We can go ahead and now pick out a setting for our game. And let's just begin by seeing what kind of setting we get if we just draw a random card. Okay, so this Invoke the Divine picture is inside of a cathedral. So we are going to have our heroine begin inside of a cathedral. And does the cathedral have a name? Well, let's go ahead and give our cathedral a name just for the sake of it. And let's combine these Sensfor. The Cathedral of Sensfor. S-E-N-S-F-O-R. So Sensfor, the Cathedral of Sensfor. So basically now we have our starting out place where we are in the cathedral. We have our character, and now we need to do the last thing for setup here, and that is to pick a quest or a goal. So we are going to go ahead now and draw out 5 cards. The way this works is you draw 5 cards, you lay them out, and then you pick the one that seems the most interesting. So let's go ahead and lay them out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and see what we have here. Okay, we have a lot of interesting fire creatures here. Fire elemental. I like this idea. Let's go with the fire elemental. We will say this, that in the neighboring village, there is a fire elemental that has been running around, running rampart in the village, burning down the village, and trying to get the people in the village to pledge their allegiance to this fire elemental. And let's say the fire elemental actually has a name. So let's go ahead and pull out some more cards here. Naf's Asp. Naf, Nare, N-A-R-E, Nare, Narahil. Narahil. Okay, so we'll say this. The fire elemental's name is Narahil. So this is our quest now for this session. It doesn't mean it could be a one-shot where we just try to resolve this one thing, or it could in fact be the first leg of a long campaign in which we will get a quest later on that we will add to that. So we have our quest, we have our goal. That's to liberate the neighbor village from this fire elemental. With our character, this rogue female. So here's what we were going to do now. When we start out solo role-playing, this is really going to be driven by our narrative beats. And narrative beats are really the game mechanic that keeps this going the best. It's going to be that what give you your prompts, which helps you to use your imagination to develop your story. And narrative beats will always work like this. We'll draw 5 cards from our random cards. We'll lay them out. We'll pick one of the cards and use that as our first narrative beat, and we will tell the story until that narrative beat resolves, and then we draw 5 more cards. So let's go ahead and lay our 5 cards down here, and we'll pick out the one that seems the best, that seems the most logical or interesting. And once again, feel free to just use your imagination. There's no wrong answer here. This is kind of improvisation at its best. You're just going to pick something out and go with it. The first thing that really sticks out to you. And right away, I see that there are a bunch of different pictures here. This guy being attacked by a dinosaur. We've got a goblin raider. We've got a cat walking through the city. Roaming ghostlight. Library larcenist. And the first thing that sticks out to me is just this ghostlight. So we could say this, that as our female character is in the temple in prayer to her deity about how to address this fire elemental in the next city, there is suddenly a light that comes off of the altar, and it begins to float up above her. And this light seems to be drawing her in a certain place in the temple. So she follows this light. And now you see already we are into our story. Where is this light going? What is this light going to do? Well, use your imagination. Let's say, for example, that this light draws her into the basement of the cathedral. And as she goes down there, she sees there's a crypt down there, and the light rests on top of what looks to be something like a stone sarcophagus. And on the sarcophagus are symbols of water, snow, all sorts of liquid symbols on top of the sarcophagus with a sword on it as well. She pushes the lid of the sarcophagus off, and there is a warrior who is lying there dead in the sarcophagus, who has been the maybe the patron saint of this temple, right? And what she also notices is that this person is holding onto a blade, and it is a blade, a white and bluish blade that immediately when she throws the lid off, it begins to radiate with energy. Now, this is interesting because maybe this blade is going to be the secret blade that she needs in order to slay the fire elemental, something that has an opposite elemental feel to it of fire. We got water, we got ice. So there we go. We have the beginning of our story campaign. We found this sword. Well, let's continue as she walks out of the crypt with this sword and up into the temple again. What happens? We'll pull these 5 cards out. And once again, just look here very carefully and see what happens. Pick out the one that sticks out to you mostly. So here we go. I mean, I'll pick this one out for example. This is Read the Tides, a picture of a group of people strategizing about what is going on. Well, we say as she's walking out with this sword, she is immediately encountered by a messenger who requests her presence at the local city council where the governor is having a meeting about how to deal with the fire elemental next door. So right now, we've also now got our character drawn into this larger political story here. The governor wants to get the help of our character in how to fight this. So, I mean, already we've got a great story there. You can go and you can walk into this governor's mansion and have a conversation with the governors. You can role play this and have some different voices and have a lot of fun with it. And we can see now that the governor will eventually give us a task, a job, a specific task for how to defeat this fire elemental in the neighboring village. The villagers themselves are extremely nervous about this fire elemental coming to their own village, so they want to try to take care of the fire elemental as quickly as possible in the other village. The governor sends our heroine off, and she begins to journey over to the next village. And already, we can go ahead and pick another one of our prompts to try and get the next narrative beat. So you see, this is super interesting stuff. It's really, I mean, it's just really your imagination. You can combine any of the cards you want to have something really interesting. Well, let's say this. This sounds really cool. Let's say that as she is leaving the town, she hears somebody call out to her. And I'm going to use two cards here. We have the local jailer. So there's a jail, and we have this human wizard who is, we'll say, in the jail. So the human wizard now calls out from the jail bars and says something to our heroine that is important. So we can make this up completely and say something like, she will ask her, the wizard will say, "I know you have picked up the sword of," and who's the name of the sword here? Let's give it a name here. Prissy, Prizzy, Pricen. I don't like that one. You can always throw cards away if you don't like how they work. Priceth. Okay, there's a good name. Pryseth. So this wizard from the jail now, it calls out to our heroine and says, "I see that you have the sword of Pryseth, and I know how to use it. Free me from the jail and I will help you." So now we have a totally different narrative beat. Now, as our heroine is on her way out of the city, she comes across this wizard. The question is she going to try to free him? Well, now we can go ahead and run through the actions. Well, let's say that she wants to free the wizard. So she decides to try to sneak him out of there. How is she going to do it? Well, now we can go back to our rules, and maybe we can say this. There is a lock on the door, and she is something of a rogue, as we know, and she has some skills, and so she is able now to try to pry open this door. So let's have her see if she can pry open the door or actually use the lock. So let's make this a challenge, extremely difficult challenge, because it is a very strong door on the jail. So we'll make it extremely difficult, which means we need 5 of a kind. Now, if we go back to our legendary character, we know that the character will be able now to re-roll or redraw 3 cards. But we need 5 of a kind. So let's go ahead and do this. 5 of a kind. Let's just bring our cards out one at a time. Here we have some odds. There's also an odd. Here's also an odd, looking good so far, and this is an even. We'll throw that out. That's our first redraw. There is also an odd, and finally, yes, an odd. So she is able successfully now, given our challenge, to open this door, and the wizard now comes out, joining her on this journey. They'll have a conversation probably as they walk along. Now, it's up to you as you're determining this. What kind of conversation do they have? I'm sure she wants to know about who this wizard is and why he is in jail. So fill that in as they begin their journey as they to the neighboring city. And as they walk out of this cathedral, we still don't know what landscape we are in. So let's go ahead and pull out a card here. It is a mountainous area. So we are leaving our village, our cathedral, and we are heading out into a mountainous area as our wizard is now talking to our hero. We haven't given the wizard a name, so we can go ahead and fill the wizard in with a name. Chandra. We can just take Chandrun. I like that. Chandrun. Chandrun. So our wizard's name is Chandrun. So we have our two heroes, our hero and our heroine now heading over to this city. You see how already our story is huge. I'm running through this very quickly, but there are lots of narrative elements that you can add, things that you can do to make it more interesting and to fill in the backstory as your characters continue on. Now let's continue on, and we'll take another narrative prompt here. So let's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here is our 5 cards, and let's just take a quick look at this. Wow, really interesting. So as we see, they are approaching the city now, and they're getting closer. And of course, I'm running through this all very quickly. But let's take this card right here. Safe Passage. The whole city is in flames. And there's no way to get into the city, to the heart of the city, because there's sort of a ring of flame around the city that the fire elemental has created by running around. So using this sword and somehow the wizard together, this is what we need to come up with, improvise. They are able now to somehow carve their way through this flame. You can see here this beautiful picture of troops walking through flames here. Safe passage, moving through the flames. They are able now to make their way through these flames into the city center. Where they are now able to meet up with some people in the city center. And let's go ahead and throw out some more cards here to see who they're going to meet up with while they are in the city center. And this is super cool. We've got a lot of great cards here. Really, really cool. Okay. We have an occultist here. We've got a deranged assistant. I kind of like the deranged assistant. So let's say that they are able to sneak into the city through the flames that they were able to safely get through. And eventually they come to a shop that has magical items and potions, and they walk into the shop, and the owner of the shop is not there, but there is an assistant there who is able to meet them up. And now some crazy things happen because this assistant is really not quite there. He's a bit off, and so there's conversations that happen here, and maybe even we get to a point where the assistant is ready to help them by giving them some potions that might be able to give them some magical advantages over the fire elemental. So we can have a really interesting conversation there with that deranged assistant. And as you see, the story is continuing to move on, and it's getting better and better and better as we go. We're filling things in. Let's take the next prompt after the deranged assistant and see what happens next. 5 more cards. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we'll say this. They eventually make their way into the city square, and they sneak into the royal mansion where the king is currently kind of caught and holding down as the soldiers around them are trying to protect the king from this fire elemental as he is raging. And I'll use this Shattering Blow card because this is kind of interesting. We'll say this, that as our heroes are sneaking up through the stairwell, coming up into the area where the king is, suddenly the fire elemental shows himself and throws his fireball against the tower, breaking it off and making the half of the stairway fall to pieces as the stone shatters and falls down. Now the question is, will our heroes be able to survive this fall? Are they able to keep their footing? And I will say it is difficult. We need 4 of a kind. So let's go ahead with our legendary character, 4 of a kind. There's 1 miss card. We get up to 3 now because we are legendary. There's another one, and let's see. So far, so good, and that is good and even. So we have an even and an even and an even. And there's another odd. That is our last one. If we do not get one, we are going to fail. So that is an odd. So we fail, and our legendary character is actually going to fall off of the stairway down onto the ground. Now let's go ahead and see how much damage our character will take. And I'm going to say they were pretty high up, so it's going to be a pretty bad fall. Let's take 2 cards worth of damage. Not too bad. 2, 3, 4. So 4 points of damage, bringing our legendary character down to 46 hit points. Now our wizard is also going to fall. And what is our wizard? Let's say, okay, our wizard is going to be a 4, and we said a 4 would be and expert. So he has 40 hit points. Let's see how he does here now with his fall. Also taking, only 2 points of damage. So he's down to 38. But the thing is now, as they fall out of this tower, they are suddenly spotted by this fire elemental. And the fire elemental now is going to attack them. The question is, do they want to try to fight now, or do they want to try to pull away? Well, here is how things can play out, however you would like. I think they're not quite ready to attack yet, so they're going to try to run away. The question is, are they able to get away as the fire elemental is attacking them? Well, let's go ahead and have the fire elemental do an attack as they are running away, and I'll just show you how combat can work. Since they are running away, we'll give them the initiative to begin with, but the fire elemental now is going to attack, and we'll take 3 cards to see what kind of attack we get, and we have a total of 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 plus, and we're going to say this is a legendary creature, so 15 to hit, and we will now say to evade this, our hero also puts 3 cards, 5, 6, 7, 10, 13 plus our 5, 18, so they are able to avoid it. However, does our wizard avoid it? That's the question. He gets a bonus of 4, so our wizard is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 4, 11. So no, our wizard is going to be hit by a massive fireball, and we're going to call this 3 points of damage because it is so incredibly powerful. So we have 2, 4, 6 points of damage, dropping our wizard down to 32 points as his cloak bursts into flames, but they are able now successfully to run around the side of the building and to go into hiding, and they are able to avoid taking more damage. So you see how we've done some combat already here. The question is, what are they going to do next? Well, that's up for us to decide. And let's run around the corner of this building. And we haven't shown you yet how to use the Oracle. So let's go ahead and ask the question, is there a secret back entrance to the castle that would allow our heroes to get up to the throne room where the king is? So let's go ahead and ask that to our Oracle. And that's our question. Is there a secret back entrance? And let's add 2 cards, take 2 cards, and add up the total to see what happens. We have a total of 4. So 3 here and 1 here. So 4. 4 would be a yes. So not a weak yes, not a strong yes, just a yes. So our heroes are able to find a back entrance to the throne room. They're able to climb up these stairs. Eventually, they make their way up, and they are met by some guards. The question is now, let's use the Oracle again. Do the guards recognize them from what just happened, and do the guards let them through? Well, let's pull 2 cards out and see what happens. We have 2 here and a 3 here, so a total of 5. The answer is no, they don't recognize them, and they do not let them through. So immediately they stand in front of them with their weapons, weapons drawn, and they are giving some resistance to our group. The question is now, we want to try to persuade them that we are not dangerous. So let's go ahead and have our main character, our heroine, try to persuade these guys. And we will say this is a difficult task because of the situation, the stressfulness, the danger. So let's go ahead and draw some more cards, and we need to get 4 of a kind. So even or odds, let's start here, and there's an odd, so 2 odds in a row. There is an even, that's our first redraw, 3rd one there, and 5 there. So the answer is yes, we are able to persuade the guards to let us through, even though it was difficult to do, and the guards will let us come into the throne room where we now meet the king. So we could keep going on forever. You see that the cards just continue to help us out. They give us all sorts of different prompts and things to help us work our way through the story. It helps us with combat, with oracles. Let's say we come into the throne room and we need a number. How many guards are there in this throne room protecting the king? Well, let's take 4 cards because it could be a lot of guards. So let's see here. 4 cards, and we'll take the mana costs of these to give us the total. So we have 2, 5, 7, and a total of 10. So there are 10 guards now in this throne room, and they are elite guards. And the 10 guards now, maybe we can convince them somehow to fight with us as we take on the fire elemental, and we could go out and fight these guys. We'll say the guards are pretty strong. They are going to be pretty powerful, so we could assign them, say, a level 3 or a 4, and so on and so forth. And you can see how we can just keep on progressing until our story comes to a natural conclusion. And let's draw another prompt and just show you how this could possibly go in the next area here. I like this idea, hysterical blindness. Maybe our wizard is able to cast a spell which makes the fire elemental temporarily blind. And in this case, then the soldiers and the wizard and our rogue are able now to jump down. She has this amazing sword that is able to do damage to the fire elemental. Maybe it's a quick combat. That's up to you to decide if you want to just tell a story. She's able to use this sword somehow to kill the fire elemental, or maybe that doesn't work. Something else happens. Who knows? I mean, we make it up as we go using our prompts, and that's what's so fun about this. It's just there's no judgment. Don't be judging yourself as you go through this. Just make it up as you go and have fun with it. So we can go ahead and end up that part of the story here. Maybe you want to draw this out and say there's something happens afterwards. Maybe there is a reward that the city gives to our heroine and to our wizard. And maybe they are entrusted with another task, which may be the next phase of this journey. Maybe we want to drive 5 cards at the end of this and see, well, what's our next task? Well, let's see here. 5 things here. Okay. I mean, there's tons of different options we could go with. Maybe we want to chase down a fugitive wizard. There's another wizard that is behind the fire elemental who has taken off, who brought the fire elemental to life and who has taken off, and we want justice for the city. They are going to hire us to try to chase down that fugitive wizard. That could be one of the things. They could have us try to go and invade a neighboring city, perhaps, something like that. Maybe the wife of the king has been absconded with. She has been killed and her body has been absconded with, and we are to go find her and to raise her to life. Maybe that's one of the ideas. Maybe there's a tragic poet that we have to find. The poet has some secret about some sort of artifact that can help us in the fight against the wizard who is behind this fire elemental. Who knows? Maybe there's a giant who is also terrorizing the neighboring city. I mean, you can just keep on running with these ideas. There are so many different possibilities. So you could really take this one shot, you could turn it into a larger campaign and keep running with it. But once again, the thing with this rule set is to help you just be creative, spontaneously grab the prompts and run with them, to help your narrative and your story out. In the end of the day, I think you can have some really interesting and fun stories that can really be meaningful and give you a lot of great fun on your solo role-playing. Well, there you have it, folks. Some tips for how to run your own solo role-playing game using our Magic the Gathering rules set and the Magic cards. The most important thing of all is to just have fun. Don't be overly critical of yourself, but just grab the prompts as they come up on the cards and just go to town, have fun, see what comes out of this craziness, because most often it is actually something extremely interesting and fun. And in the end of the day, you have a very memorable story that you can take with you. Well, thank you for joining us here today at Grey Army Gaming for the future of gaming.